My name is Dr. Karen Countryman Roseworm, founder and executive director of the Center for Combating Human Trafficking at Wichita State University. At the Center for Combating Human Trafficking, we are committed to helping build the capacity of others, like yourself, to engage in sustainable, systemic, adaptive anti-trafficking efforts. With a combination of personal, direct practice professional, advocacy, and also community-based research experiences over the last 20 years, I have seen an increase of interest in the anti-trafficking movement. For this, I'm very excited. However, oftentimes, many of these efforts did not equate to long-term sustainable progress in the anti-trafficking movement. The community, in fact, the world at large, has increased their interest in this issue of human trafficking. However, we still have a long ways to go in addressing this issue. Specifically, there are two primary challenges that remain in Kansas. The first is that many are interested in addressing the issue of child sex trafficking. However, few folks are interested in addressing the issue of adult trafficking. Secondly, many are interested in responding to identification or what many call quote-unquote rescue efforts. However, few folks are committed to long-term interventions that equate to holistic prosperity. In regards to the first, while addressing children who are sex trafficked is critically important, we also need to address the issue of adult trafficking. Based on research, multidisciplinary providers across the state of Kansas estimate that there are between 300 and 400 youth who are at risk of sex trafficking just in Wichita alone each year. Between January 1st, 2014 and February 1st, 2015, there were 33 rapid response assessments given by the Department of Children and Families to those young people who they believed were sex trafficked. There were also, between July 1st, 2013 and December 31st, 2014, there were 34 of 58 unduplicated services to young people who were given services through the juvenile detention facility. However, in fiscal year 2014, there were 352 adults identified across the state of Kansas who were sex trafficked. And these women were receiving services through victim service agencies across the state. While I'm not denying personal responsibility or progress towards empowerment, it is ludicrous for us to think that a mere birthday from going from a woman who's 17 to 18 separates those who are victims from those who are criminals. Ultimately, whether you're 18 or above or under the age of 18, these are the same young women who oftentimes were incubated in a home of trauma. They were exposed to early childhood physical and sexual abuse. And oftentimes these adults have children of their own or will have children of their own, and it is critical that we serve them. At the Center for Combating Human Trafficking, ultimately we believe whether you were labor trafficked or sex trafficked, whether you are a child or are an adult, even one person abused and exploited in this manner is one too many. In regards to the second issue, many folks are addressing identification and quote-unquote rescue efforts. However, few folks are really committed to addressing long-term prosperity. At the Center for Combating Human Trafficking, we have worked for quite some time on developing a model that represents the various needs of someone who is sex trafficked or labor trafficked. And what we see in the state of Kansas and even across the world is that a lot of folks are interested in addressing assessment or identification. However, few are really committed to addressing intervention and prosperity. We're excited about the Raise My Head Foundation because they're committed to doing these two things in which there's a great need. That is, again, a commitment to long-term interventions that equate to holistic prosperity. Ultimately, when people are in a chronic state of quote-unquote poverty, and by that I mean holistic, bio, psycho, social, spiritual poverty that occurs in cases of abuse and exploitation, development is the appropriate intervention. While relief, those short-term efforts, is done for people, development walks with people encouraging them, that individual or that group of people, and in this case, women who have been sexually abused, who are sex trafficked, who are struggling with addiction or other forms of violence and abuse, it encourages them and walks with them to use their gifts, their resources to contribute to their own progress. And that's ultimately what equates to holistic long-term prosperity. Raise My Head Foundation is taking a stand to commit to the holistic prosperity of women. Will you commit with them? We ask you to join us in the anti-trafficking movement. Join us in anti-trafficking efforts across the state of Kansas. And there's 4 ways you can get involved with that right now, today. The first is to assess and develop yourself. Ultimately, change begins with us. We are all wounded healers, and we have to deal with those wounds, those harms within ourselves in order that we might more effectively serve others. The second thing is we need to seek education, wisdom, and accountability. Learning is a true journey, and this evening, for you, is just the beginning. Reach out and stay connected to like-minded individuals. I'm sure there's a room full of folks you could connect with tonight. Also, feel free to connect with us at the Center for Combating Human Trafficking and continue to reach out to people like Vicki Bond at the Raise My Head Foundation. Number 3, prevent trafficking. Invest in the lives of others right around you. Spend quality time with your children. Spend quality time with those in your neighborhoods, in your churches, and help create contexts of prosperity. And 4, invest in anti-trafficking efforts through time, talent, and treasure. Connect and commit to partnering with organizations who are established and who are verified, and who they themselves partner with other agencies and hold each other accountable to effective service delivery.